manager at Celtic?
Yeah, I'm usually pretty good, but struggling to find the words this time. I'm just really, really proud of this group of players. As much as players, this group of people, and the staff, because pretty much from the day I walked in the door, we've had some sort of challenge in front of us. Almost on a daily basis that we had to sort of overcome, and they've always found a way to do that and haven't made excuses or allowances, and really believed in sort of what we were trying to build here. And at every time you thought, this is becoming, this is too much. How can we overcome this obstacle? Even today, it's the first time I think they were in our box and they scored, and you're thinking, here's another one, and their response is what it's been from the moment I arrived. And so I'm just really proud of that group of people who get their rewards tonight, and really privileged to be part of it.
On the game itself, going a goal behind, but then the response within a minute, that must have pleased you, the way that the players come back. But did him surprise you a little bit in the second half, and just the way that the attack carried over?
Not really. I mean, like I said, again, sort of after the game, it's hard to sort of have a clear analysis, but I just felt comfortable that, okay, we weren't creating a lot, but we were still more threatening and we were still controlling the game. And like I said, I don't think they'd been in our box. I think that was the first time from that corner, and it was disappointing to concede from it. So I didn't feel sort of that anxiety. I think if we didn't get an immediate response, then potentially, they would have had a chance to maybe slow the game down and close things up. But hitting back straight away was brilliant for us, because it just, if anything, gave us a bit more momentum to keep going.
Can you describe how important Kyogo is for what you want to achieve at Celtic this season? There's obviously a bond between yourself and the player that was noticeable at full time.
Yeah, look, obviously, it's no more special than I have with the other players. I feel a responsibility with him because I'm the one that brought him here, and when you're bringing somebody from the other side of the world, and I don't think anyone would have said that, he was a cast iron guarantee to be a hit. For a lot of people, I knew he would be a fantastic player, but he's an even better person. From the moment he picked up the injury, there was no way he was not going to play today, irrespective of what I was saying or the medical team was saying. He wasn't 100%, but I knew he would play today. And his movement's incredible, but the quality of his finishing, to have that composure in such a big game, it's one thing to get into that position, but I mean they're two world-class finishers in a big game. And when he knows that everyone's watching him, so it's one of the challenges we had. We're missing some significant talent at the moment, but these boys keep finding a way.
Do you think the success that Kyogo's having could entice more players, or are you now trying to entice more players from that area to come to Scotland? Because there's undoubtedly he's been a huge success here.
Yeah, and look, obviously I have an advantage. Maybe if I hadn't coached on that side, managed on that side of the world, that I'd have the same sort of scepticism about whether their talent could transfer to European football. I guess more particularly Scottish football, because Japanese players in general have had a great deal of success on the continent. They've had fantastic careers in the Bundesliga, in places like Holland and Italy. So they're good pedigree, and one or two have had great careers in the Premier League. So I guess I have that added advantage, and when I took over, I was definitely going to use that. And look, Kyogo was always going to be my sort of first pick, because witnessing it firsthand the player he was, I had no doubt he'd be successful for us.
Is this giving you a taste for more success today then? Winning this trophy in David Turnbull, by the way?
Well, that's a big change in questions there. Let me just process. Yeah, Dave, we'll see, looked like a hamstring, and look, the amount of games we're playing at the moment, we're just suffering because of that, and obviously not being able to rotate the squad a lot, it's hurting us at the moment. So we're picking up these injuries. So we'll just see how he is. I've forgotten your first question.
In terms of the success today.
Oh yeah. Look, it doesn't more or less because that's the expectation. When I took on this role. Whilst no one knew of me, I certainly knew what I was undertaking, and particularly after last year, that this football club cannot go 2 or 3 years without success. And I knew that me accepting this position, that was the expectation. And I wanted that. I wouldn't have accepted the role if I didn't want that responsibility. And, you can't guarantee success, but I was determined that was the goal, and I wasn't gonna. It wasn't gonna take me, any length of time to get there. I wanted to get there as soon as possible because that's what the expectations of any Celtic manager is. And just like every other Celtic manager, you don't rest on your laurels. The expectations are you get up tomorrow morning and you work towards the next one.
You say Kyogo wasn't 100%. How ready was he for this game, and was there an element of risk in putting him in from the start?
Oh, of course there's risk. There's risk in everything. There was, like I said, there's probably risk putting someone like Dave out there who's played so many games, and it's not a precise science. And obviously there's more risk with somebody who's coming back from injury. But good luck me trying to keep him out today, mate. There was no chance. He would have snuck on the bus and snuck into the field at some point without me seeing, because, like I said, he just had it in his head he was going to play today. He wanted to help the players, and he wanted to help the team, and he wanted to be part of this. And again, having worked in Japan, I know their mentality. They're a really strong culture in facing up to their responsibilities, and that's what I think he felt responsible today to go out there and help the players.
I know you were struggling to put it into words, but what was that moment like at the end, being able to share that with the players and the supporters out there on the pitch?
Yeah, it's again, like I said, it's hard for me to describe because I know kind of people look at me as some alien being, but I'm no different to any other kid who grew up in these parts. When I was young, that's what I dreamt of.
How do you celebrate this, Ange?
How? Just with my beautiful wife and my boys, and just the people who are closest to me, and just take a snapshot of the memory and then file it away, and then, like I said, tomorrow get up and go again.
A few beers, glass of wine?
No, I'm not. I mean, I know I smell like I've been drinking a fair bit, but that was the boys, particularly Juranovic and Hart, who are in for some tough sessions the next few days. But no, look, I've been very fortunate in my career. I've had a lot of success, and with all of them, I want to remember them. So for me, I try to take just like little snapshot images in my head that I can remember, because as much as you love the success, it's who you share it with that's important, And I want to know in 20 years' time that if I bump into one of these boys or we talk about this day, that I remember it as clearly as possible. So, I'll get myself a glass of scotch and the finest from here somewhere and have a quiet drink.
What does that cup win do in terms of moving forward? You've got that first trophy under your belt. You can see what it meant to the players, to the fans. Looking on now, it's a huge shot in the arm now, Mas.
Yeah, it is. I mean, not for me, but I think for this, particularly for this group of players and for us as a club, I think. Again, I thought it was really important that, right from the start, particularly with our supporters, is that I just tried to sell them some hope, because it didn't go smooth at the start. We know that. It hasn't gone smooth at any point. The results have, but we've had some real challenges. The results at the start weren't great. But I needed to give them some hope that, there was good times sort of around the corner. And I think they've supported us and been behind us because of that. Success turns that hope into something more tangible now that, okay, maybe this team can do some special things. And, the players, I'm sure, the staff, everyone involved will feed off that, because, again, it's the manner in which you do it that counts just as much as the success itself, because this football club's had a lot of success, a great deal of success over many years, but a lot of times it's always been the dominant team. We weren't the dominant team at the start of this year. You know, I doubt very few people would have thought that we could have any sort of success, particularly this early in the piece. So having done that, overcoming what we have, definitely builds belief and resilience.
Those obstacles that you mentioned, in terms of where this ranks for you personally, does that make it ever more sweeter? The adversity that you've overcome so much in this first 6 months or so?
Yeah, I don't, without sort of sounding arrogant, I've never doubted myself or wavered in my own self-belief about what I could do. As I said, I understood when I took this role that, you know, people would I mean, all of you are probably running a book on how long I'd last, you know. A few of you probably had December, but that's gone out the window. But which is fair enough, but that doesn't affect me. That, you know, and like I said, it's not arrogance. It's just I'm really passionate about what I do. I've been passionate about it since I can remember as a little kid, and I've got a real certainty about the way I want to do things. And with that, the more obstacles put in my path, I guess, the more I lean in against it. You know, that's the bit I love. You know, that's what gets me going. If it was, like I said, when it's smooth, I get really irritated. You know, I've moved on in every job I've had after having success because I felt, well, you know, what's the next challenge? You know, so the difficulties of this year, the challenges so far, and there's many more to come. You know, I love that. You know, that's what I love to do. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I thought we were good in the game. I thought the boys gave me absolutely everything. I said to them before the game, as long as you can give absolutely everything and come away for the game with no regrets, you'll be in a good place come the end of the game. And unfortunately, we just couldn't get over the line.
Should you have had a penalty late on?
I think, listen, the disappointing thing for us is you get the goal in the game, you go in front, and then to lose the goal so quickly is obviously a massive blow. It would have been a bit different if you could have held out for the next 5-10 minutes. I also think then obviously second goal from our point of view defensively was not good enough. Players will know that. We'll look at that moving forward, but I don't believe they should have been defending a free kick in the first place. I don't understand how that's a foul on the halfway line. If that is a foul on the halfway line, I have no idea how it's not a penalty in the box later on. I don't see how one can be a foul and the other one's not. I don't get it at all.
Disappointing the officials in that sense that they give one and at least not look at the other.
I'm disappointed with the two decisions that were made there. Absolutely, yeah.
What's next for you?
Listen, I don't know. I think I was very grateful for the club to tell us as early as possible that we were going to be in charge for today, so that was no distraction for the players. There was clear heads and a clear mind with nothing going to change between the Dundee game and the cup final, which gave us the full 4 days to prepare, which was really important, knowing that there will be a change moving forward. But now that the game's done, we dust ourselves down, and I'm sure the powers will be all let us know exactly what direction we're moving forward, and I'll just adjust accordingly to that.
You want to stay on in some capacity?
Absolutely, I'm still contracted to Hibernian Football Club, and I love working for the club. It's somewhere I've been now for a long time, and until I'm told otherwise, I'm delighted to be here.
David, you're clearly very disappointed, understandably. What do you take for this whole experience of kind of leaving your team into your cup final and standing down the touchline? What do you take from the whole thing?
Yeah, I don't know really. Obviously, once the dust settles, I'll probably look back and think about it. It's been a bit of a whirlwind the last sort of 9-10 days. As I say, the most important thing that for me to take away from it is I'm proud of the players. I'm proud of, and I'm grateful for for how much they've given me and Eddie. It's never easy in these situations, and I think you could see that with the reaction last week once Jack and John lost their jobs. So I think I'm very grateful for what they've given me moving forward, and I think it gives you time to reflect, but at the same time we'll move on and wait and see what happens.
David, there were claims for offside at both of the Celtic goals. What was your view at the time
I think the first one, obviously it's very tight. I think it's hard to see. I don't know if you can see the other side of the pitch hardly because of all the smoke from the goal. So I think that makes it more difficult. I think regardless of whether he's onside or offside, it's too easy from our point of view. And I think just that, that mindset of having just got yourself in front in the game, it's really important that I think that's when you're at your most vulnerable, and it proved to be the case. We need to be switched on and defend the ball better, regardless whether he's onside or not. With how tight it is, different if he's clearly offside. And as I say, the second one, again, I think we switch off. Once he does award the foul, which I don't believe is a foul, we shouldn't have been defending a free kick, but we were. So it's about that reaction, and it's about us defending that better. But I don't think he's not offside for the second one.
What did you say at half time, David? Because you see me come out and been working on the front foot as a team, second half.
Yeah, I think obviously the way the game went, we fully expected Celtic to come out really quick. They've done that all season. The way they play, they're on the front foot a lot. And obviously it's a case of managing the game, sticking to what we'd worked on and working hard at the things we'd been working on all week, which worked, limiting Celtic to chances. But I think the most important thing that I identified, or as a staff we identified, is we could show a little bit more belief in ourselves when we do win the ball back. We're too quick to give it back or to play forward too quickly. So I felt it was more important that we actually believed in ourselves, and backed our ability to get on the ball and trying to sting out the game a little bit and be a wee bit more aggressive on the front foot, knowing that the game would open up as the game would go on, and then also delighted to get ourselves in front. And then if we could just held on to that lead for a little bit longer, it might have been a little bit different.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone.
All good.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.